The rulebook doesn't say you have to tackle this journey of life alone. These are the times I make those connections with others, so we can all take a look back while we all move forward. This is the Dependent Independent Podcast. MiniSode. Hey there, subscribers. Thank you for downloading and listening to MiniSode 49.5 of the Dependent Independent Podcast. I'm your host, Nick G. This is the 49.5 minisode of a 200-episode podcast. In these minisodes, specifically for my subscribers, which I stream live on Facebook and now testing out a new camera, I'm going to record and post this on YouTube. It's time for me to get my subscribers caught up and my listeners caught up to what they missed on my last episode, what they have missed, or what I've been doing since I recorded my last episode, and what they can anticipate in future episodes. If you haven't already done so and you're new to this, I mean, these are really for my subscribers, these elite minisodes. Go on your podcast app, wherever you're finding this. If you're listening to this on Facebook, you have a podcast app on your iPhone. And don't hit subscribe button because it's broken, because iTunes can't fix anything, and I'm really pissed about that. But you can download the shows. But if you download Overcast on the iPhone, or Podcast Republic, or Podcast Addict on the Android device, you can listen to the show. And every time we post these shows on midnight every Monday, these are these minisodes, and then we do full shows. We alternate because I usually get co-hosts on those shows. But here you just get to deal with me on this minisode. Every time we post the show, you get it live to your feed. Last time you heard from me was episode 49, and I had the opportunity to sit in the Behind the Moon Children's Boutique in Hamilton, New Jersey, and hang out with my friend and local community advocate, Brooke Sacco. It was an enjoyable experience, actually. I don't think I even said this on the show, but when I showed up, I've talked to Brooke before. I met her on Facebook, and we got connected through other people through the community in Hamilton, and I didn't know her. I don't know her personally, but I am getting to know her. Brooke, I am getting to know you. Don't take that the wrong way. But when I showed up to her shop, she had a nice cold one for me, which was really nice. A little microbrew, which was really cool. And I had that. I loosened up, and it's probably one of my my most favorite shows. I really enjoyed that podcast. And I know I say that from time to time, but I wouldn't put it out there if I didn't enjoy it. And Brooke, I hope to have you on the show again. I hope to pick an amazing topic, an interesting topic that you and I can both relate to. And I think that I'm really going to enjoy the fact that you're coming to our event on the 21st. Now, that event, you're wondering what that is. Most of my subscribers know. If you follow us on Facebook, it's the Dependent Independent Podcast page. You can follow me on Twitter at Dependent_Nick, and our YouTube channel, which I post these streams, and I'm trying out this video on this new camera, although I'm bouncing back and forth from looking at my phone and looking at the camera. It's at the Dependent Independent Podcast page on YouTube. On the 21st, in 2 weeks, because even though this is minisode 49.5, I am going to take a week off to possibly put out maybe a best of. I'm kind of teetering with what I want to do with the episodes. I do rarely watch my podcasts over, or listen to my podcasts over. Excuse me. And I think I might just make a mashup and throw it online just to fill the spot so you guys get some content every week like you've grown to enjoy and expect from the Dependent Independent Podcast. So I talked about our last show. Since I recorded my last show, craziest thing happened today. We were, I take what's called the speed line. I've never seen it written down anywhere, but it's they call it the Patco line. It runs from a town called Lindenwold all the way to about a half a block to where I work in Philadelphia. So the email notifications that we got, I got one today that said basically the 5 trains that are leaving, the 5 times that the trains are leaving from the station that I go out of, has the there was an issue where the trains stopped. They weren't running them out, so which means I had to walk either 3 blocks the other way and get it, or just wait in the train station. So I sent an email out I let some coworkers know, and then just to brave it, I went back down to the train station just to wait, thinking if I went early, maybe the trains were running. Well, wouldn't you know, there was an actual train there. So hopped on the train, sat in my seat. I usually sit in the same seat every time in the same car, up against the window, so I could pop my elbow up in case I want to take a nap, because I love my naps, my train naps. And that's it. So we hung out in that train station for a little bit because of the cold and the snow. If you're up in the Northeast, a lot of people it seems everyone struggles when it gets cold out. So the train company was having an issue with some of the trains, so they were running fairly slow. I think there was like a 10-minute delay. So the train ended up going about one station down, about 3 blocks away, and just sat there. I had my earbuds in, and they were saying things over the loudspeaker, but I didn't really quite understand. And long story short, suddenly they say something that everyone's reacting to it. Everyone's kind of bugging out. So I take my phone, I type in Patco time issues, and then someone on Twitter, actually they said that in the station right across the bridge, there was emergency care or something like that was slowing it up, and eventually they'd take care of it, and that's it. So I was waiting. I was a trooper. I was going to stay in there. But then they make an announcement that the train is suspended, and the folks on the train start going on their phones and find out on Twitter that there is an out-of-commission train in 6 towns over, about halfway between my house and my work and the stop that I parked my car, and a train was out of commission, and you have to find alternate transportation. Now, as we're doing this, in a very short period of time, people are being given information that they figure is true, so they're just taking it into account and doing something about it. Well, because I didn't want to, I wanted to be hopeful and didn't believe that unless they were kicking me off the train, that I wasn't going anywhere, I stood my ground. But when they said that everyone find alternate forms of transportation, people just left. Like, they got up and left. And I swear to God, no more than like 60 seconds, guy gets on the speaker and goes, "The train is working. We're moving." It did take me about an hour and 40 minutes to get home, which is long. It usually takes about an hour. But due to the delays and the waits, it had a lot to do with all these people throwing a lot of information at you. I have no idea if that Cherry Hill thing was even true. But all I know is you start throwing information at people, it makes them wig out. Now, it got me thinking, the topic I really wanted to talk about today with you on YouTube, live streaming, and on my podcast is New Year's resolutions. I'm sure there's a million podcasts out right now that talk about New Year's resolutions and setting goals and so on. But I wanted to talk about something a little intricate, some things I've been thinking about, and it's really about how information is given and how you share information. And what happens when you share information, what people expect from you. So it's similar to the train. So a long time ago, when I was a kid, I used to try things. For no rhyme or reason, I used to try things. I was always a kid that when he did something, I picked it up and I immersed myself in it because I was all about doing things the best I can be. Whether or not it had something to do with getting my father's approval or something like that, I have no idea. It could have been. But whether it be weightlifting or it was surfing or it was soccer or it was skateboarding or it was comic book collecting or it was tape recording like editing or anything like that, pre-internet, pre-anything else, I would go to the library and get the books that I wanted to read that taught me how to do this stuff, or it was, I'd ask subject matter experts. I'd ask my friends. I'd ask people that know how to do it. And I'd completely focus on what that was because I knew I wanted to be good at it. I didn't know what that looked like. I had no idea what it looked like, but I wanted to be good at it because when I knew if someday when I finally was good at it, I would know and people would see me for it and people would know I was good at it. And and I've mentioned this in previous episodes where it just kind of built up my expectations of myself and what success looks like and all that crap. Well, it's not crap. It's serious stuff, but it definitely started paving the way to the adult you see before you right now on YouTube and you're listening to on your podcast player. So it got me thinking with New Year's resolutions, right? When you go into the New Year's and the thing is, too, what I would do is when I would try these new things, what I would do is I would tell people about it, right? I read somewhere, or can't remember a mentor telling me that when you share a goal with someone, you make it a reality. If you just keep your goals to yourself and things that you want to do or things that you want to change, they don't really have any hair on them. They don't have any muscle. They're not fleshed out. But the moment you put it out in the world, one, people need to hold you accountable, or if that's your MO, like I was told by someone that when you share your goals, that's when you you have someone else holding you accountable, which puts a little bit of pressure on you. Now, I know full well when I was a kid, I put an enormous amount of pressure on myself, and I still do to this day. And it's helped me, but it hurts me if I don't temper it, if I don't temper that pressure, or understand that I can lose at times. On my last podcast with Brooke, we talked about some things we did in our community, and the amount of pressure and emphasis and education I put on simply starting a lacrosse program in my town that eventually failed. And when I say fail, it didn't happen. The old Nick would have been hurt by that, but the fact that now I can look back as an adult and learn and move on. So you put all this pressure on yourself to tell other people what you want to do, and eventually when you throw it out there, if you don't do it, they're the ones that are going to look at you with a rubber finger and say, you said you were going to do that. Now, as people go into the new year, they say they're going to lose weight. That's usually the thing. They're going to stop smoking. As a goof, I used to say I wanted to start smoking, and that would get enough laughs. But when 2007 passed, no one really cared anymore. That joke was old. Every year I tried, and going to the gym, it's funny, when you set goals for yourself, not only do you have to, there's a level of putting pressure on yourself and communicating what you're going to do, you don't want to lie to yourself. You don't want to be someone who says, I'm going to accomplish X, and it's total bullshit, where your friends are looking at it, like, yeah. I've had friends that have said they're going to do things, and just because we know the type of person they are or how they've gone through things, it's doomed to fail the moment they open their mouth. Don't be that guy or that girl. Don't do that. Be honest with yourself and be self-aware. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is, just like every New Year's resolution, people join gyms. Now, I joined a gym in town a few months ago. And to be honest with you, I'm completely lying to myself. I must have joined like 6 gyms in the only time I was ever committed to a gym. And back when I was obsessed with weightlifting, I had muscle magazines, is when I was trying to lift weights because I was a scrawny guy. I wanted to look big so girls like me. They did like me for my muscles. I'm going to admit that. But hey, Lois, I'm sorry. I haven't paying attention to anybody on here streaming in. So I did that, but then I almost became bored with it. Like I accomplished that, and that was it. Like I wasn't challenged anymore. And to be honest with you, the only reason why I should be working out now is to stay in shape. And I'm working with my friend Dewey with a little help with that. But who the fuck am I lying to that I'm going to go to the gym? I'm basically paying to not go to a gym, and if I have to quit. I have to quit that. And I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm sure some of you have done that before, where after the new year, you sign up for a gym and you go all out to do that. I just think it's silly. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm just lying to myself. And that's why I'm never going to talk about lifting weights or doing anything, because I've grown up to understand and know that if a goal is worth doing and you want to do it, that's the ones you're going to be talking about. If you find yourself committing to something or trying to commit to something that neither you nor anyone else around you is wishing or wanting or hoping that you do, stop it. Stop it. There's no point. What you want to do is figure out what you like to do and what's more meaningful in the new year, and commit to that. Figure out, as the new year starts, you might not even have a New Year's resolution. I don't have any New Year's resolutions. I'm doing this. Like I just do. I have goals and I do. But when I've committed to something and say I'm going to do it, I do it. Now, you could say and sometimes some of the best New Year's resolutions are the ones that you completely expand your comfort zone. I always looked at it where you want to be a different person by the end of the year. You want to look better by the end of the year. And not physically, but you want to feel good about what you've done and be productive every year. So it just comes to a level of commitment and trying to do one or two things. When we start, it's funny, I'm listening to all these old podcasts, and when I first started this, I tried to conquer like 17 topics in 30 minutes, which is stupid. But yet it feels like you're doing a lot, but at the end of the day, you're not succeeding at anything. You're not accomplishing anything. So all I did was eventually focus on one and enjoy myself connecting with people like you and people within my community and people that I've connected with and other podcasters through the show that have made it much more fulfilling and life a lot simpler, and made me a lot more happier to focus on those little accomplishments. Now, in looking forward because that's what the show is about. And I hope that's making sense for you guys. The idea of, if I can round that thought, when you set out and you decide what you want to do as your New Year's resolution, if it ain't something worth to you, don't bother doing it. And if you haven't figured that out yet, take your time. You don't need to use the beginning of the year to be part of that. That doesn't have to be something that January 1. I love people like the end of January, like, oh, January 1, I'm going to start it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Just start today. Like, what are you doing? So when you think long term, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be with my good friend Dewey, who started this whole thing with me back in January 2015, hashtag 2 years to the day, where we are going to get on 2 high top tables with microphones and a PA system and a banner behind us and a poster and T-shirts on a table and stickers and postcards and food from Kitchen 19, a local caterer in town. Linda, I can't wait to see what you can come up with at Tomfoolery Brewing Company. And it's going to be awesome. Sean and Gail are letting us host it there. Between my online promotions and what I'm doing on Facebook and what I'm doing in print around town, I'll tell you, when I first had that idea of doing this, all I wanted to do was celebrate episode 50. That's all my expectation was. And just by simply sharing that goal with people, I was able to get feedback from people like my friend Zane in town, who's a marketing guy at the local theater, gave me great ideas that I am rolling with. Think of it. If you don't share your goals with anybody, you're only getting one perspective. So you share your goals with people. And these people like you, and they trust you, and they care for you. They're the ones that are going to give you the feedback and the recommendations that are going to make you better. That's the other reason why you want to share your goals. Not only, and then they're going to hold you accountable, not in like the sense of holding you accountable as in, like I said before, like pointing the finger at you if you don't do it. But it's a way to just simply not do it on your own, because none of us here are doing it on our own. And any goal worth doing is worth doing when you have other people to share it with. So when we do episode 50, and again, originally what I thought is I'd have microphones set up at a table. Dewey and I were talking quietly. A couple of you would show up, and you'd listen to us talk. But now we're going to be broadcasting to the entire bar, and hopefully we can get, the best thing about this show, and if you haven't already done so, subscribers, is share the show. Go on iTunes and rate the show. Tell people about this show. This is all about experiences and connections, so the best way we can build listenership is if you share the show and let people know what this is all about. And I want to throw this out there too. If you are a fan of the show and you'd like to be part of the podcast, live broadcast, because we're going to be streaming it and recording it for YouTube, but also streaming it on Facebook like we do here. I have my friend Bruce, my social media producer, is going to be there. If you'd like to be part of the show, can you direct message me? Because I'm really kind of getting some ideas about how I want to bring my fans and people that are familiar with the show onto the show. Direct message me on Facebook if you're listening to this. And if you're a podcast fan, you're not streaming this on Facebook, would you do me a favor and just email me at thedependentindependent@gmail.com. You can find the email in the body of in the show notes. And I'll be putting show notes in the show notes, information about the event, a link to our Facebook invitation so you can get the information that you need. So if you're in the South Jersey area, or you feel like actually hopping in a car and driving a really far time to drink some brewskis at a brewery in town and hanging out with some cool people, I know the vibe is going to be great. I know it's going to be exciting. But to end all this, and the last thing I wrote on here, setting these goals and communicating what you're going to do in the new year and your New Year's resolutions, when you tell that, is you have to have a lot of patience. That's why they call it a New Year's resolution, because it might take the whole year. But take a risk, because risks are scary. I have no idea when I've even put this show out, and I do that a lot, by the way. Let me apologize for a second. Because this is a journey, I might talk about doing this, so I'm sorry if I do that sometimes. I hope I don't do that too much, but this is an exciting thing, and it is something that's out of my comfort zone. It's becoming a big part of my comfort zone, but every time I try something new, I get a little nervous. Before here, I get a little butterflies in my stomach. Come on, why wouldn't anyone do that? And I'm sure any of you that are going to be on the listening and watching, that are going to be on the show, that I throw you on that microphone, I'm sure in front of all those people, no matter how many beers you have, you're going to be a little nervous too. The moment you take that risk, it's scary as shit, dude. It's scary. In my brain tells me what it's going to be like on the 50th, but I don't know what to expect. Who knows? I'm going to get boos from the people that are on the other side of the bar that are annoyed that I'm making too much noise. I hope not. I hope not. I hope I'm socially aware that I'll be able to identify that. But I don't want to bug anybody. But this is, again, something that's definitely out of my comfort zone. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be thinking about it nonstop. I'm anxious. I'm excited. But, man, what a journey. What a journey to set a clear goal, whether it be you want to learn how to surf, which is scary, play soccer, lift weights, quit smoking, go to the gym, but not me because I'm smart enough to know that that's not my bag. But committing and doing this for almost 2 years and then looking forward to do it several more years till we hit episode 200 is going to be amazing. So my really message to you guys is thank you for being a part of this. I'm excited. And again, 50 isn't the only one. I'm acting as if like it's our last big one. I hope number 100 is going to be even bigger, and number 150 is going to be even bigger. Maybe we do a segue to maybe 125 or 75. But I really appreciate your support, and take my advice if you can while you set your goals this year is if you haven't told someone what you want to work on this year, just tell somebody. Tell somebody that you'll be shocked on the amount of help you get, because if they care about you, they want you to succeed, just like I do for everyone out here. And you care about what I do because you support me as subscribers, you download the show, you share the show, you talk about it on Facebook, you talk about it on Twitter, and it makes this journey extremely enjoyable. I want to thank you for listening and watching to MiniSode 49 and a half. We have episode 50 right around the corner. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Can't wait for my banner to come in and hang it up and hook up all my do a sound check in my house, make sure it all works. Just set it up, feed you. Make sure you buy a shitload of beer from the brewery and help out Sean and Gail. They have delicious beers. I'm really pissed that the Cracked Concrete's not going to be done until February, but they have an excellent variety of microbrews. They're 6.2 IPAs, one of my favorites, but check them out. Again, MiniSode 49 and a half of the Independent podcast. And I said MiniSode, right? MiniSode 49 and a half. And I am out.